What's good, everybody? Welcome to a special episode of this Coast to Coast podcast. Today, we're going to be going over our quarterback rankings way too early, but for the next season, not based off of, not rankings from last season, but for the season that we're going into. So let's just get started. At number one, I have arguably the best QB of all time, the most talented QB of our generation. I mean, is it hard to? I mean, it's really hard for me to put anyone above him. You already know who it is, Pat Mahomes. About to win another Super Bowl, undisputed. Best QB in the league. Who do you guys have as number one?
We'll just pull up this list, Bo, so we'll have it all for everyone to see watching at home. Carson?
Yeah, I have Watson, but there is a little asterisk. I think if he does get traded, I think if he's still on the Texans, I would definitely move. I would move Allen up and then Mahomes up. I'd probably move him down to the 3 or 4 range. But I just think if Watson gets traded, he's just going to be so rejuvenated. He's going to be like, finally, like, all that drama in the trade is out of me. I can just go out and ball and, hopefully ball on, potential contender. And I think that alone would just just open up the floodgates. We saw last year he had crazy numbers, even on, kind of shitty Texans. And if he goes to a team like the Jets or Dolphins, something like that, or even like a better contender, I just think, he's just going to dominate. He's finally going to have his team he knows for sure that's going to, treat him right and get the pieces around him. And it's just going to go off. But that's my reasoning behind why I have him number one. And, of course, because it's Watson. I mean, we've been seeing it the last few years. But just the fact that he's getting on that new team, that rejuvenation, that recharge makes me think he's going to be QB1 gets traded.
Yeah, so then going on to that for mine, just for the listener, everyone can see up here, we'll go through it, though. I'm top left. Carson is in the middle, and Jose is top right. So I actually have Josh Allen as my number one quarterback going the next year. I mean, honestly, he had a very good end to his season, at least fantasy-wise, looking at it. My reasoning, though, why I think he's going to be this high, first of all, you got to look at he gets his offensive coordinator back. Obviously, all the head coach vacancies have been filled, and he get to keep Brian Dable, which I think is essential because, in my opinion, if Brian Dable went to the Chargers, I was going to move Herbert way up my list, potentially number one. I mean, I still think he has potential, but I mean, we'll get into that. Diggs, I think, is going to be another year better. I think he actually has a chance to put up better stats. But then again, that's for the wide receiver video. But honestly, it indirectly affects Allen's performance. I do think Beasley, though, will not be the threat that he was. I think just age is going to get to him. But I do see John Brown getting more involved. I do see Gabriel Davis taking another step as a receiver. And I wouldn't be surprised if I see them going after another weapon, like a running back that I've talked about in the past, because if they can secure themselves a running back, that opens up the play action game. And everyone knows when you get a play action game going, you can get some balls downfield. That's what made Jared Goff a pretty, decent quarterback at times when he was a top 10 quarterback with Sean McVay a few years ago. But I think Josh Allen has the potential to be QB number one next year.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most important thing you said there was the step up of the other guys, Gabe Davis and John Brown. John Brown's just got to stay healthy because when he's healthy, he's one of the best, outside guys, deep threat guys in the league. We've seen it, the guy when he was in there, he had a real chemistry with Josh Allen.
He was really good last year, like Josh Allen's second year. Like he kind of was like that Cole Beasley type where it's like, wait a sec, like no one really pays attention to him, but he's had like a really solid like wide receiver kind of 2-3 season.
Yeah. But I mean, I could see any of these guys finishing as the number one, to be honest. But I don't think Watson might end up, being better if he goes to the Jets. I think, he's kind of in that same situation. Yeah, he has a better coach, but, the weapon situation, I don't know if the Jets are really better than the Texans as far as weapons. They're probably about the same.
I think they're gonna sign some guys. That's like what I'm thinking. Like if they get Watson, they're gonna, because I think they have like a lot of
they do.
Space.
They're
yeah,
top
so they're
now.
Definitely like if they get Watson, they're definitely gonna target someone like A-Rob or maybe like Fuller or something like that.
Yeah, that'd be sick. Moving on to my number two, I got Kyler Murray. I mean, this guy, he finished as the QB2 this season, averaging 24 points. He had a pretty rough finish to the season, but it was still, it was only his second year. It's still a really historic season overall. I mean, this is a guy that's a real dual threat QB, standing at what, like 5'9", 5'10", Like, another year of chemistry with D-Hop, getting that system, establishing the run game. I don't know if Drake is coming back or not, but either way, they'll be able to, I think, either top their season next season, or at least, they went 7-9. Who says they can't do that again? So, what about you, Carson?
Yeah, my number 2 is Allen. I mean, Liam basically gave the pitch. I mean, same receiver corps, same coaching staff. I just don't see why he can't just do it again. And I feel like the Bills are just going to be a consistent, threat for next few years. They just, no change. I think, just going to keep being solid. I mean, I expect maybe the rushing to go down just a little bit, but I think if they do, get a solid running back, a guy like an Aaron Jones or something, that's just going to open up even more passing yards, and he, won't have to run as much. So I think it kind of cancels that out. So yeah, I mean, Josh Allen seems like a safe pick, so gotta go with him at 2.
Yeah, I see you also have Watson at 2, Liam. But explain to me why you guys both put Mahomes at 3.
I'll get into it later. Actually, I wrote out a lot of notes for this episode, and I have a reason why Mahomes is low. So I'll touch on that. But I'll get into Watson right now. So
mine's just because Allen he just runs a little bit more. He gets more rushing yards and more rushing touchdowns than Mahomes. Mahomes doesn't really have to run at all. I mean, he does, but he doesn't really have to.
Yeah. So for me, obviously, top left going into it, I think Deshaun Watson, he's definitely going to be QB2 in my opinion. Like Carson was saying, he's able to run out there, be a threat as a quarterback, rushing the ball. And I think especially he's going to go to another team. I don't care what anyone says. If he doesn't go to another team, I think he's holding out. He would go off the list entirely. But I think Deshaun Watson, I think my dream scenario for him, obviously, is the 49ers. But I think realistically, I'd love to see him go to the Panthers. The Panthers would be crazy. I don't know if anyone realizes if they re-sign Curtis Samuel, that is one of the crazy, the best offenses we have in the league. You got 2 guys that played wide receiver ones this year, and then Curtis Samuel came on at the end of the year as a strong wide receiver too, which
and
is crazy.
CMC.
Yeah, and you got CMC, who's
and CMC, bro.
Yeah. It's crazy to me. I think if you give this package to what is it, Coach? What's his
Coach
name?
Rule.
Yeah, Matt Rule. You give this package Watson to Matt Rule. I just imagine the read options, all the RPOs he can run. It's a crazy offense I could see. But I mean, regardless where he ends up, obviously I think if he goes to the Jets, I love Saleh. Carson obviously has a passion for Saleh as well, us being 49ers fans. I just think Watson has all the he wants to go out there and prove to everyone that I think he's going to go for a haul. I mean, people have been talking about 5 first-round picks. I don't see that. I think it's going to be 3, and it's going to be a starish player. And people are going to be oh, they over-traded for him, blah, 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 blah. I think he's going to go out there with vengeance and show people he's been held back in Houston all these years. As much as he's been able to put up stats, I think he's capable of doing more. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Who's the Panthers package for him?
They might have to throw Shane maybe.
Ignoring the money situation, obviously, but talent wise, who would you see as a fair return?
You'd probably have to put in someone. You might have to bargain. I mean, it'd be hard because you probably look at someone like Brian Burns is be someone that they'd be looking at. It's
I was just going to say Burns.
It depends because they got Yetur Gross-Matos, who's a good pass rusher out of Penn State last year in the draft. So do they think that he can replace that kind of production that Burns has? But what we've seen so far, Burns seems like he's going to be a perennial 10 sack a year guy. So, but when it comes down to it, I mean, they've been saying the 49ers rumors that Bosa would be the one traded in this deal. So it's about how much are you willing to sacrifice to be able to be an elite team, because the Panthers would be an elite team.
Would you give up Chin for Watson and some picks?
Oh, 100%. As much as Chin's a good safety, he's going to be top 5 safety probably next year. You'd have to throw that in.
Yeah.
Oh, they'd probably throw Teddy in too, I guess, just because.
For cap space and for have a transition to quarterback. But they'll probably draft a quarterback. I mean, the 8th pick doesn't really get you a high quarterback in this draft, so we'll see.
Yeah.
But So now explain to me why you guys got Mahomes at 3.
Carson, you take it.
I mean, just because Watson and Allen just have more rushing upside. I mean, that's about it. I mean, Mahomes, Mahomes gonna do Mahomes, and honestly, I mean, they're all around the same. They're all around the same passing stats, anyways. I mean, they weren't that much different, I think, in terms of passing yards and touchdowns. But it's just the rushing upside for me.
Yeah.
I mean, Jose, I know you're next in the circulation, but I just kind of want to add on because I'm at the same spot as Carson. I mean, when I think Mahomes, I think especially this weighs heavy on the outcome of this weekend. I think if they win the Super Bowl, it's going to be a coast of a regular season. They're going to go like 12-4.
Yeah.
Kelsey's not going to have another historic season. He'll play well. He'll go over 1,000. He'll have like 8 touchdowns. I don't think they're going to be trying to look at developing other guys in their team. I think Clyde Edwards-Helaire will take another big step. I think McCole Hardman, they might try to actually develop him as a receiver. I think it's going to be a lot of testing out for Kansas City because they need to know what they have because their future weighs heavy looking into the cap space that they got. So Mahomes coasting gets him at the 3rd spot in my list, which I think is crazy. I think he's still going to be, he'll be up there in the MVP conversation like he always will because he'll be leading such a fantastic team. But that's just why I have Mahomes there.
Yeah, I have the same exact point. Because, if they win it this time, it's mentally and physically exhausting to, and teams are going to be coming for their neck. They're going to be coming off 2 Super Bowls. They're going to be trying to three-peat. No one, all other teams are not going to want to see a three-peat. They're going to be so tired of them. And they're going to be getting everyone's best effort. Obviously it's Mahomes. He can kill it against anyone, but that's another factor. And I'm glad you mentioned that because I had the same exact thing.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah.
My number 3, I just had Allen. I could really see, these top 3 being really interchangeable and Watson. But yeah, Allen and Diggs are the best connection in the league. I don't think it was a fluke at all. Obviously, both historic seasons and with another year of development, I think they could definitely repeat. He averaged 25 points a game this year. That's just insane from a guy that was definitely not top 10 last year. So yeah, but moving on to number 4, I got Justin Herbert, Rookie of the Year, rookie passing touchdown record holder. He only played 15 games this year and still finished as QB9, which is ridiculous for a rookie. Also, I think with a full season of Austin Eckler and a new coaching staff that he's got now, it's gonna be a better season for Herbert this year. I think he's gonna take a step and show that he's poised to be, the new great NFL QB in the league. I know you also have him at 4, Liam, so explain to me some of your reasoning.
Yeah, I think like you talked about it with the coaching staff, I'm really high on this Rams defensive coordinator, Brandon Staley. I think, he's definitely been able to pick the mind of Sean McVay as he's been there because these guys know that when they're able to lead a top defense like he did, they're going to be able to get a head coaching spot. But I think, especially if this defense plays well, it's going to be opportunities for Herbert to get on the field with that offense and make a lot of plays, especially if Derwin James comes back. I know defense doesn't have a huge impact, but I think it might indirectly affect it. But, like we said, Keenan Allen's one of the best safety blankets we have in the league. I think Mike Williams, it's going to be a really telling season next year. I don't know if he's on – I think he might be up for a contract this offseason. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I can take that real quick.
Yeah, Jose will look that up. But otherwise, I think the 2 young guys that they had at wide receiver, Gutton and Johnson, I think, were the 2 guys that are coming on later in the season. They're playing well, and I think it'll be interesting to see what they do if they're picking the draft. I know a lot of people have been slotting a wide receiver to them, or even Kyle Pitts. And I think if Kyle Pitts is a huge upgrade over Hunter Henry, as much as Hunter Henry is a good tight end in the league, we know that. I think Kyle Pitts is a generational talent at tight end that we haven't seen in a while. So I think it weighs heavy on what they do in the draft this offseason. And if they're able to get another weapon, I think Herbert's definitely solidifying himself in this top 5.
Yeah, Mike Williams in his contract year, they exercised his 5th-year option, so he will be unrestricted after this year.
Okay.
Yeah. But, we've seen Mike Williams, there's always hype around him that, he's this big guy who's going to catch high points and then outside balls. But the dude can never stay healthy, and his hands are just so inconsistent sometimes. And I feel like sometimes he just struggles to get open, even against guys that, he should be able to beat, off the line or even just through straight power or height. He just can't do it sometimes. But hopefully he can put it together. This is his contract year. So if he wants to get paid again, put a season. You've got everything around you. You got a great QB. You've got a great coaching staff behind you and a running back. Just put a great season. But Carson, talk about your number 4. I know you got Kyler Murray over there.
Yeah, I got Kyle. I just think he has like another gear to go to. I think obviously he was basically QB1 for like the whole first half of the season. Then that shoulder injury was definitely super noticeable. Brought him down. I think barring another injury, I just expect to see those first half numbers just continue through. I think the rushing touchdowns might regress a little bit, but still the rushing volume is going to be there, and I expect the passing yards to go up because I feel like they desperately need another wide receiver or possibly even a tight end. And if they get one of those two, a solid wide receiver too, because honestly, Larry, Hall of Famer, but Larry's super old. Kirk, he's super inconsistent. I can't really trust him. It's a go-to wide receiver too, and then they basically don't really have a tight end. So I think getting one of those two, like Herbert, I'll get to him in a sec, but just a wide receiver 2 away from just increasing, those passing yards are just gonna go up even more. But yeah, it's just the rushing with him. I mean, Murray, him and Lamar are just so dangerous. I think he's, low key more efficient runner than Lamar. And yeah, I got him at 4. I think him and Herbert are 2 guys they still have another gear to go to, which is just crazy. They both have QB1 potential.
Definitely. Did Larry Fitz make a decision yet? He's gonna play.
I feel like he's
I
retiring.
don't know. Yeah.
Come back.
I can't imagine him being much value regardless. That would sway Murray being a good quarterback.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I mean, Kirk. I really hope Kirk can stay healthy and stay consistent because I feel like he's actually a really nice receiver.
He's had some really good games last year. I think he had a couple ones.
He just can't string them together.
Wasn't playing well. I think against Seattle, he had a pretty big game. I think 2 touchdowns, 100+ yards. So,
yeah, he's definitely solid. Yeah, they just really need to develop him. And
it's just the consistency with him, and they really need a tight end. He needs a guy obviously Hopkins rapper, but he needs that guy kind of that. I'll see that Mark Andrews just free him up in the middle of the field.
Yeah, kind of he needs that safety blanket. I mean, obviously you've got Hopkins, but Hopkins is getting doubled all the time. But
especially if Kirk's gonna be out and he's gonna be injured, they're gonna double Hop. He needs that safety.
Can't be relying on freaking Dan Arnold.
Yeah.
But moving on to number 5, we've all got a different guy here. We got Deshaun Watson. I mean, I'm pretty sure he finished as the QB5 this year as well. But I think regardless of whatever team he ends up on, he's gonna ball out. I mean, you saw what he did this year with pretty much no weapons, David Johnson and a bag of chips. But I mean, he scored a passing touchdown in every single game. Except one where he still had a rushing touchdown and over 340 yards. So I think he's gonna ball regardless, especially, if he obviously there's the threat of him holding out, but if he's playing, I'm drafting him as a top 5 QB. I'm starting him pretty much every week. Just a top option all the time. But I'll start with you this time, Liam.
Yeah, so I mean, looking at mine, I got Lamar Jackson. As you guys see on the other list, I got the highest Lamar Jackson placement on here. I just think, this man continues to be criticized. People keep saying, "Oh, this guy's a running back." I mean, as good as he is running the ball, this guy's, there's a reason why he was MVP. I mean, sure, things just kind of went his way that season, but I mean, you got to look at it now. He ended his season this year, that the second half of the season, he was on a tear. He was going out there. He was showing that run game was popping. And when the run game's working for the Ravens, Lamar Jackson's at his best. And, now he's got the monkey off his back that he got that playoff win. I just see it's going to be a lot easier for Lamar to, go out there. Because, I mean, people that realize Lamar's been all under all this criticism that he finally got his first playoff win in his first year. And, I mean, you see the guy behind him on my list, Matt Stafford, has not won a playoff game his entire career. And obviously there's situational stuff in there, but this man Lamar Jackson continues to be picked on. And I think, I mean, he plays in one of the AFC right now is one of the best conferences we've seen in a while. It's
his division is tough, man.
And his division's tough. Yeah. I mean, he's got there's three like up and rising quarterbacks with himself included in that team, and then there's also the Steelers who have a nice defense. But I mean, I think Jackson, the main thing, we got to see him get another weapon this offseason. Marquise Brown, I mean, thank God they got rid of their wide receivers coach, who's now going to go coach the Texans. But I mean, he wasn't able to make Marquise Brown into anything. But maybe if someone can be brought in, I don't know who they brought in to be the wide receivers coach. Maybe can turn Marquise Brown into something. You know, Devin Duvernay showed some promise. Hopefully, Mark Andrews comes back. And I mean, I've been doing some mock drafts myself for fun, slotting people in positions, and I just really hope they find a way to get a receiver in this draft. I think Terrence Marshall out of LSU, Rashad Bateman, more of a kind of a bigger receiver, you know, 6'1" and up with some speed, the ability to go downfield, the ability to make plays in the middle of the field. I think that's what Lamar Jackson needs. You know, we saw what Josh Allen did with Diggs. I think they need to get something for Lamar to get Lamar, you know, contending in the AFC with these other guys.
Yeah. I mean, I think he not only needs like a straight line speed guy, because Marquise is like that straight line speed guy. He needs someone that can just run around and get open, you know, when the play breaks down. Similar to like a Tyreek Hill or something like that. Obviously, Tyreek Hill is a generational talent, but you get what I'm saying? Like someone that can, you know, when Lamar is scrambling or stepping up in the pocket, like find those pockets to get open in space and get, you know, that opportunity for Lamar to make that play. Because right now, you know, he's got Marquise Brown, who's like 5'9", and he's just gonna go out there and run streaks. Like Lamar doesn't have the arm for that. He's not gonna be out here throwing streaks all game. So we just need that guy to get open over the middle or underneath.
And he was doing good in fantasy after he lost his star left tackle. I mean, obviously Orlando Brown filled in, but Ronnie Stanley's probably the best left tackle we have in the game up there with David Bakhtiari. But, I mean, we got to see. I know Orlando Brown, I've been seeing some stuff that he's having some complications with his contract. But hopefully they bring him back. They got a solid offensive line. Just need to get a weapon and let Lamar unleash.
And they need a real, like, I don't know if they're going to stick with Dobbins, but I'm pretty sure they'll let go of Mark Ingram. They just need a consistent running back, and
I think Dobbins is the truth.
I think Dobbins is going to be their guy.
Yeah, I hope they stick with him the whole year next year, because if they do, I'm buying all the stock in him.
Yeah, I don't want to see like, I mean, no offense, like Gus Edwards, guys like that, but yeah, just like keep it like with Dobbins, because like he showed at the end of the season, like he's the truth.
Yeah.
But, moving on to you, Carson.
Yeah, I got Herbert at 5. I like Joe Lombardi as their OC, who was a member of the Saints coaching staff for a long time. He was the QB coach like the last 4 seasons. I think this is an amazing fit. Just, you know, someone that, you know, was coaching, that was, you know, with, you know, Drew Brees, you know, for 4 years, you know, and I think, you know, something that, you know, Herbert, great deep ball, you know, obviously incredible. But I think the short passing game is, you know, once that gets unlocked and having Eckler come back, that's going to unlock that even more. I think that's like, you know, that's going to increase his ceiling even more, because we know how great he is with deep ball. But, you know, getting those checkdowns, getting those like 5-10 yard passes, that's just going to keep adding to his fantasy potential. And I think, you know, being someone that worked with Drew Brees is like, you know, short passing game specialist will really help. And just like a new head coach as well, I think, I don't know, I just felt like with, gosh, I forgot his name, Anthony Lynn. Just feel like he was just kind of like he was like holding him back a little bit too. Like I think there's just another level he can get to. I love Lombardi. I love just like the new coaching staff they have. And you know, it's a common theme, but again, he needs another weapon as well. And like a tight end too. I mean, like Hunter Henry, he can never stay on the field. But I just love like the fact that, you know, obviously he was great last year. It's going to be his second year, and we all know like, you know, what happens in the second year for a lot of these guys. And just the coaching for me is like the big thing. I think like would be like top 5. I think like 5 is like the lowest he'll go. Like I think like there's just so much potential for Herbert.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Lynn held the whole team back. I mean, you saw.
Yeah.
In Herbert's first game, I mean, they were in it all the way up until the end, where they choked it in the end. And I feel like they had a stretch where they were just choking games. I mean, they choked. I think it was a 2-touchdown lead to the Lions. And then they had one where there was just no one had any idea what they were doing. Like the field goal unit was going out, but everyone was still out there, and then the time ran out.
So, they choked against the Chiefs.
Yeah,
they could have beat the Chiefs
in his first game.
Yeah, and they just had like inconsistent running game. Like they just had an inconsistent running game like the whole season. And I think, you know, having Eckler, you know, hopefully healthy throughout the whole season. That's going to be huge because not only unlocks the running game, it's going to get those checkdowns and those short yardage. So I'm really excited for that.
I saw a statistic that said they would have been 10-6 if they won every game at every game ended at halftime, which just shows it's been a consistency with this team, though. This team continues, and that's why I think as good as Anthony Lynn, I mean, he wasn't that bad of a coach. I think some situational stuff happened with some health on his team, but I mean, this team wasn't able to finish games, and hopefully, they can come in this new coaching staff and they can be able to win some games out here.
Yeah, I mean, Lynn got him winning to the half. I mean, he got him leading for most of the game, but yeah, just when it matters the most, he could, close it.
Yeah. Moving on to my number 6, though, we got for a lot of guys, the first half season MVP. I mean, he always tears it up. The first 6 to 8 games, and then this season he just kind of fell off in the past, the last few weeks. I don't really know what it was. I mean, I think it's got to be Carroll, but I think with a full season, he's always going to start hot, and more development from Metcalf. He's always, Wilson's always going to be reliable. He's going to get you those, 18, 22 points every week, pretty much. So yeah, he's my number 6. What about you, Liam?
Yeah, so I actually put Matthew Stafford on here. I sent this list in to Jose and Carson even before this trade had happened. It was actually kind of funny to me. And I'm still going to slot him here. I mean, let's just take a look at here. Now in LA, he's got Cooper Kupp. He's got Van Jefferson. He's got Robert Woods as his deep threat. He's got Tyler Higbee. And I know Joe Everett's a free agent this year, but if not, I mean, they still got 4 options, and they got Cam Akers. I think this is the best cast that Stafford's been surrounded with his career. Obviously, there's no one to the level of Megatron. But, I mean, I don't think – people might say – there's a lot of criticism. Some people think Matt Stafford's a top 10 quarterback. Other people might say that, he's just empty stats. But the way I see it, the way Jared Goff looked so bad in his first year without Sean McVay, I mean, Jared Goff looked like he shouldn't have been in the league. So imagine Sean McVay is inheriting a quarterback that was a former number 1 overall pick. I mean, obviously Jared Goff was too, but this guy's got some talent. We've seen it out here. He's been able to, will bring Detroit back into games. He's, I think, one of the top guys with fourth quarter comebacks in his career. I think Sean McVay can turn this guy into something. He's got some real talent on this kid. I mean, not kid. He's 32. But
yeah,
people keep saying that. I've been watching a lot of videos talking about this trade, saying how, Cooper Kupp's going to have a bad fantasy year because Stafford isn't good at throwing it underneath receivers. When has he ever had a good underneath receiver in his career? You can say Danny Amendola was a good one. Marvin Jones is a deep threat. Kenny Galladay is a deep threat. And Calvin Johnson's the biggest he's the biggest deep threat we've seen in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, he's one of the most dominant ones we've seen. So I think this offense is going to be electric. And don't forget, this was the number 1 defense in the league last year with the LA Rams. I think this NFC West, as scary as it was this year, everyone's going to be healthy next year, and it's going to be even scarier, especially if the 49ers are able to secure themselves a quarterback. Makes this league this NFC a whole lot messier.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you saw McVay was able to turn into a Super Bowl, caliber QB. I mean, granted, it was the worst Super Bowl I've ever seen, but with I think Matt Stafford definitely – every season he's got to be in conversation for top 10 because of his arm talent, alone. But I think he's in a good situation in LA. I could definitely see him finishing. I don't know about 6, but definitely top 10 for sure.
Yeah, I think it's kind of fringe based on his health at times. I know he does have some health concerns. He's been in and out some seasons, but I said 6 is his peak in my notes, and I think his floor is 12.
Yeah. What about you, Liam? I mean, Carson.
I had Rodgers here at 6. Obviously I expect some regression just because, he had a, MVP season last year. It's going to be hard to, repeat that, but, he's only going to be a year older. Still has Devontae Adams plus, some of his other, receivers. We're getting more and more experience and more confidence. This previous season, plus Tanya and plus Bakhtiari will be back and healthy. A little bit of concern that, they are probably going to lose Aaron Jones, but I think Jamal Williams, and then Dylan did show a lot of promise. I think those guys will be just fine, and keeping the offense balanced. And yeah, I mean, it's just Rodgers. The fact that he still has Adams, and the floor, playoffs, whatever, but they're still really good in the regular season. And I just expect Rodgers to keep doing his thing.
Yeah, he looks like
it's just a safe pick to me. Like I think it's Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say he looks like somebody's granddad in this picture, but
yeah.
I mean, I just think they just need another guy. Like
they won't draft one. That's what they're gonna do. They're gonna go some like cornerback or something. They're gonna go like interior defensive line. They're gonna screw him over because they're Matt LaFleur. I think there's some controversy there in the locker room. I think they're trying to look towards Jordan Love, which it's gonna be interesting. He's not gonna get traded because we already saw LA tried to trade for him. He wouldn't trade him. But then again, that's NFC trading. But we'll see.
Mm-hmm. Dude, they spent a first round pick on a QB. I feel like they're definitely going to have Rodgers on a shorter leash this season because he had a few games this season where he struggled. And, they kept him in there just because, he had been on a tear the whole season before that. But I think definitely if he starts to struggle, especially early on, I could see him getting benched and then just just throw Jordan Love in there, similar to how Carson Wentz got benched this season. Just toss him in there and just see what happens because at this point, there's really nothing you can do.
He was just so good this season. I just don't expect him to regress that far. Yeah. And also his division is so trash. I mean, they get the Vikings, the Bears, and the Lions each twice. I mean, those are all he's gonna go off against those guys.
Yeah. I also feel
that's another factor.
I feel like he's like a streaky QB. Like when he's hot, but then he could have a stretch of 2-3 games where he's just...
because I don't know, has he really had 2 consistent good years in a row in his career? I mean, dating back in his mid-20s, but I mean, I don't think the year before this year he wasn't really particularly a great quarterback fantasy wise, or even he wasn't really. I mean, he was obviously regarded as a good quarterback, and then I mean, his record just gets diminished every time he loses in the NFC Championship, which is every goddamn time he gets there. But
I am worried though with him that obviously this year the big thing was he was super motivated because they got Jordan Love. But I think after that has to be super just heartbreaking after lost to Tampa Bay. It's damn, we have to go through another season. It just kind of feels hopeless with Green Bay. It's are they I mean, yeah, they're still gonna be in contention in the NFC, but they really need another contender to get a massive injury or something to get in the Super Bowl. I don't think they're good enough to I don't think they're the clear cut number one team. There's always gonna be a team that's at least better than them.
Yeah. Especially if Tampa loses, it's just gonna look so bad on them because it's okay, we lost to Tampa and Tampa lost to Mahomes. Look at, we are not only one step removed, we are 2 steps removed from even being close.
Exactly. And then all these other quarterbacks that are young are getting better. And I mean, as it looks to be, unless he's going to be like Tom Brady, how he ages, he's just going to be getting worse, and his supporting cast is going to be getting worse.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, we're getting close to Rodgers hanging up the boots, but yeah, I mean, I think he's still going to be a solid option this year regardless.
Yeah.
Moving on to my number 7. I mean, after you hyped him up, Liam, I kind of want to move him up to number 4 or something, but I mean, for me, it's my biggest question mark. I mean, he's obviously the best rushing threat in the league. He's rushed for over 1,000 yards, but he also never surpassed 300 passing yards a single game this season. But he did step it up big time towards the end in the playoffs, in the fantasy playoffs when it mattered. And, he had multiple 100-yard rushing games, but I need to see him take a step as a passer more consistently, throwing multiple touchdown games, games over at least 250. Can you give me 250 on a consistent basis, Lamar? But yeah, if he can really do that, I think, we can definitely see him in that top 3, top 4 range, but I haven't seen it, so I'll have him at 7 for now. I know you also have him at 7, Carson, so I'll start with you.
Yeah, I just expect him to have a bounce back year because I think last year, even though it was, I don't know where exactly he finished, it wasn't 9. That's still actually pretty solid. But I think where he's being drafted and the hype, obviously, kind of failed those expectations. I just don't really see him, doing that again. I think he'll have a bounce back. I think the key, we mentioned him earlier, I think the key is like Dobbins, who played extremely well at the end of the season. I think if he keeps playing like that, or at least a little less than that opens up everything, because not only do you have to worry about him, you always have to worry about Lamar running, and both of those guys just opens up the play action. It just opens up for Andrews, Brown, their other receivers, and I think where his receiving core lacks in talent, just the fact that those two guys are going to be such a threat running, it just opens up the field for them, and it's going to make it easier for his passing weapons, and that's why I feel like he's going to have that bounce back here, because the rushing's going to be there, and he kind of set the bar pretty low for his passing. I mean, he was only average. He was getting like the hundreds for passing yards. I just don't really expect that again. I think he's good at least in like the 200s for most games. I just really don't think he's going to be as bad as he was passing last year, this upcoming season.
Yeah.
And the fact that they could also, like, if getting like another receiver, like a solid wide receiver 2 or something, or wide receiver 1, like that would like make me feel even better about this ranking.
Yeah, I mean, this was what, his second or third year as a starter? Was it his third year as a starter?
Third. Actually, no. Second, because he won MVP his first year starting. So it's just second.
Yeah, second like full year
in the league, right?
Yeah, like second full year starting.
Year 4, year 3 starter next season.
The league's got 2 full years of Lamar tape to watch, and I feel like they still can't hold him. Like, he's too fast. You still can't catch him.
You can watch all the tape on Tyreek Hill, and you can't catch him. Like,
yeah, I mean, Lamar's just not a traditional quarterback. I mean, when people like the running game, a quarterback brings, like when I was talking about Josh Allen when he was playing in the playoffs, like his running game is totally different, like than a running back's running game, because they get different holes. Like, and the same thing, Lamar Jackson's getting the holes Josh Allen is, but he's 10 times faster. He's 10 times faster than all these other quarterbacks. He's just got some wheels on him. He's so elusive. We saw it in his MVP season. We continue to see it. So, I mean, I already said my case for him, so there's no much need to get more to it.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely see him finishing like top 5 for sure. Like step it up, especially after that loss where he got hurt. Just kind of have that chip on his shoulder, come back better than ever. I just need to see it. What about you, Liam? Talk about yourself.
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously you had number 6. You had Wilson and Wilson's number 7 on my list. I drafted him into fantasy, I think, the last 2 years. He's always a consistent option, but I just have some question marks going into this next season. I was wondering, like, because I know he has 2 really good defenses, at least I think next year, San Francisco, despite losing Salah, still going to be a top unit. So let's say they go against the Rams and the 49ers twice. That's 4 games against, arguably 2 top 5 units in the NFL defense. And they go against the Colts away. They go against the Washington football team away. I think those are going to be 2 hard battles to deal with. And then the Saints defense at home, which will still be a hard one to deal with. So I think they got some hard defenses ahead of them. Obviously, it doesn't mean defenses is everything about it. And then, I mean, they do go against Green Bay away, and Jair Alexander is definitely going to be able to lock down DK Metcalf. As much as DK Metcalf is a good receiver, Jair Alexander is a awesome cornerback. But to stop digressing, though, I think this Seahawks team is going to be sticking to a lot to their run game. Obviously, they just got rid of their offensive coordinator, Brian Schottenheimer, and they just fired him this offseason. So it'll be interesting to see. We don't know. I mean, Pete Carroll might have a bigger say now. I don't know if they've hired a new offensive coordinator. I think they might have. I'm not aware of that, though. But I think this run game, they're going to have Rashad Penny fully healthy. They should have Chris Carson fully healthy. So I think they're going to be doing a lot of, action, trying to build up that run game, because that's what this team's known for. That's the reason why they made all these deep playoff runs, because they haven't won a conference championship game or even like won many playoff games. I think since 2017, they have like 1 playoff win, if I'm not mistaken. And Blake Bortles has double that. So, I mean, Russell Wilson's going to be consistent, but if we see the end of the season, Russell Wilson next year, he's number 9 on my list, or number 10. So,
it looks like they hired Shane Waldron as their OC. It says he's never coached in a regular season game or called plays in a regular season game.
That makes me very not confident.
Yeah. But it says he's coached under 3 Super Bowl winning head coaches.
Oh, do you know what tree he's from? Well, I'll look that up. You guys get into your next one.
He was an intern for Belichick. So.
Okay. Well, Belichick coaching tree besides Brian Flores is terrible.
Kind of shit.
Yeah, that kind of.
Especially dudes named Bill O'Brien. Anyways, moving on.
Bama's OC, but
Moving on to my number 8. I mean, Rodgers. We kind of touched on everything about him. He finished this year as the QB3. I see inevitable regression. There's no way he finishes as top 3 QB again, and I definitely am not taking him over anyone in my top 3, or even anyone in the top 5. But yeah, I mean, I think definitely we might see some Jordan Love this year for sure, especially if he struggles and he's just looking terrible. Just toss him in there. Why not?
Yeah.
Probably the most interesting. We'll leave Liam's number 8 to last. I'll let you go, Carson.
Yeah, I mean, you already the only thing about Russ. I mean, yeah, Russ is Russ. Like, you don't really feel like great if you're drafting him as like a top 3 to 5 quarterback, but if you get him like out of the top 5, you're like, shoot, like, hey, like it's Russell Wilson. Yeah, want to see that new OC, but I just think they started off the season so hot and then it kind of fizzled out. I think this season will be like, more balanced, more spread out. It won't be like so hot and cold. It's be like pretty solid and consistent. And it's Russ. I mean, he's still gonna have DK, he's still gonna have Lockett. And hopefully Chris Carson stay healthy because he's someone that's like a really like solid RB2 like when he's actually healthy. It's just that's the thing, he never stays healthy. So yeah, I just like Russ because of his like body of work, his consistency over. I mean, he wasn't really consistent last season, but like throughout his career, he's been consistently a solid fantasy guy. So that's why I have him at 8.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure, Russ. I mean, he's always a good option to pick up, especially if you're getting him as your QB2. I think for sure, like that's great value. Like let's say you go, like you get Murray in like the 7th round or something, and then you get Wilson in like the 11th or something.
Wilson always falls. He always falls every year.
He always falls, yeah.
Because they always overlook him. They're like, oh, it's just Wilson. But I feel like he always performs at least decently well.
That's how I feel about Rodgers. Like I feel like everyone's gonna Rodgers.
And I'll get into it at the end. There's one guy none of us have on our list who's playing in the Super Bowl this weekend. So
yeah. But he's also 44 years old, anyways.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
But yeah, I mean, is it 2015 or am I tripping? Is that Matt Ryan at number 8?
Yes, you do see Matt Ryan at number 8. I really like the hire of Arthur Smith as head coach. He was able to, what's his name? Mike Vrabel isn't really an offensive mind. I'm pretty sure he played outside linebacker in the NFL, so he's more from a defensive background. I think this Arthur Smith hire, he was able to rejuvenate Ryan Tannehill's career, and I think Matt Ryan's a more talented quarterback. I mean, that's probably a little bit of a bold statement there, but I mean, Shanahan was able to make this guy an MVP a couple years ago. I mean, I don't think he's going to be an MVP, but you got to realize he's got a really good receiving core around him. Hayden Hurst played really good in his first year in Atlanta, replacing Austin Hooper. Calvin Ridley's a certified wide receiver 1 now. Julio Jones, obviously, when healthy, is wide receiver 1 as well. And I really like Russell Gage this year. He played really well. I see some improvement in him. And especially given that this run game is literally dog bleep for the Falcons, I think they're going to be throwing a lot this year. I mean, as much as I know Arthur Smith has been talking about trying to get a back that, that can be a workload carry like Derrick Henry, it's going to be hard to find anyone, in the draft or even in the free agency that's going to be able to resemble that. But I just have a feeling about Matt Ryan. He always finds his way to be at the top of the passing yard leader. And I think, Calvin Ridley, might have been out a game or 2 this year. And then I think Julio Jones probably should be healthier this year. I just see a good season for Matt Ryan. I don't think he's warranted drafting in the top 10, but I think he could be someone that, if you want to take a risk on a QB2, I think he has more upside than some of these other guys that you might want to take a risk on.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, he is 36 years old. I've definitely seen some regression on like his accuracy and his obviously his throwing power, but that's just going to happen with age. But yeah, I mean, with a healthy receiver core of Ridley, Gage, and Julio, definitely probably one of the best in the league. And who do they got at running back? Is it Hill or Ito
Smith? Todd Gurley's leaving, so
yeah. I mean, I could definitely see him having a decent season. He's definitely got upside, as far as those guys towards the bottom half of the top 10. But I just don't know, bro. Matt Ryan.
I know.
To see him at 8, I think they need to like pull up Green Bay and like draft a quarterback first round just to like motivate him. Because I think
Yeah.
it's been ever since the
That is
Super
the thing
Bowl.
though. Because I
Ever
know
since the Super
Justin
Bowl, they've
Fields.
just kind of been like mid. They just like they haven't really been going anywhere.
But you got to think about it too. I mean, they have a lot of things. Defense is probably the most likely position that they should go with the 4th overall pick. But I mean, they could go Justin Fields, and I don't think Justin Fields makes sense to start over Matt Ryan in his first year. Because I think Matt Ryan's still a good quarterback in the NFL.
It still is.
It's going to give that Jordan Love effect. I mean, it's taking a risk there. But I mean, I don't think they'd go like Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith. And if they did, that'd be crazy.
Their receiving core is already like.
It wouldn't be a terrible idea though, because I think we all see Julio Jones as just having a health regression. Not even as a player, he's regressing, but health-wise, he might be on the team.
Kind of giving up on him. It's kind of like that Megatron type thing.
Yeah,
no, but I mean, Calvin Ridley's still going to be able to make a big impact, and Hayden Hurst still a solid tight end out there.
Calvin Ridley is literally Julio, just younger.
Well, he's also predominantly a route runner, while Julio's a deep threat. But
yeah, I don't know. I see.
Really still a beast though. I get what he puts up like similar numbers. Like
I'm just happy because they got the 2 Alabama guys just balling out there.
Yeah, they got Julio's son basically. It's crazy.
Josh Smith, 3-way.
Yeah.
3-way Alabama killers.
Yeah. Okay, so
that'd be dirty.
Moving on to my dark horse, potential best value for the next year. Mr. Dak Prescott himself. People forget he led the league in passing yards after week 6 when he went down in week 5 after only half a game. It was just an ankle injury. It's not like an arm injury or like a shoulder injury or anything like that. I think definitely he's still got all the arm talent in the world. And he's got the winner mentality. He's going to come back ready. I don't doubt that he's going to be, as healthy as ever. And, he's going to come back and just pick up where he left off. And if I could definitely see him falling out of the top 10 because people love to hate Dak Prescott. And I could definitely see him finishing, as good as top 5 even for sure, because I believe in my guy. But
no, yeah. I mean, just to add on to that, Dak Prescott's in my honorable mention list. Like he's going to be in that 11 to 13 range for me. The injury does scare me a little bit. I mean, is he going to be fully healthy to come back at the beginning of the season? I know you said it's an ankle injury, but I mean, there's a lot of like question marks going around. And also, I don't trust his coaching staff at all. Is Dak going to be able to be surrounded by a good O-line to protect him? Because that's what gave him the success early in his career. Not am I saying I understand Dak Prescott. He's definitely a top 10 quarterback in the league. But I do have some question marks. I think they might also take a look at doing more of a run-heavy scheme, just at least in the beginning of the season to try and get Dak Prescott fresh again. So, I mean, they got 2 backs that, they both bring their value. They're both dynamic in their own ways with Pollard and Zeke. So that's why I don't have Prescott on there. It was a hard one for me to put in. I mean, Prescott could be in my number 10, or even like I could even take Matt Ryan off my list, but I just have my reservations at the moment.
Yeah. I don't know. I just got a feeling, man, especially if he falls, like normally I don't draft QBs in the first like top 10 rounds. So if he's there in round 10, I'm taking him. Like he's going to be my QB1. But moving on to you, Liam.
Yeah. So, I mean, not to beat a dead bush, but we got Aaron Rodgers down here at number 9. Most people would not put Matt Ryan over Aaron Rodgers, but like we're saying, it's so hard for me to see like this historical run keep going with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, kind of looking at my notes, I mean, I think he's still going to remain in Green Bay. I don't imagine he's going to get traded this season, but because Green Bay just gives him the best opportunity to win. I do see a drop off in his play though, but not too drastic. Teams are definitely going to find ways to slow down Devontae Adams. Like he was able to get slowed down during the playoffs against Tampa Bay. Was able to hold him, pretty decently. But I don't think. Robert Tonyan, as good as we might have him on our lists when we get the tight ends, I think he didn't really. His season was overshadowed by his one game where he had 97 yards and 3 touchdowns, which put him in the double digits for touchdowns. I think he's still a good receiver. We got to see more out of MVS though. We got to see more out of Lazard, and it's just hard because Lazard started off the season averaging like 17 fantasy points a game. He was on fire, and then he got injured, and then he was nothing of value there. So, I mean, I think there's going to be a lot of controversy in Green Bay this season. Like we said, we were talking about earlier of Jordan Love, so I'll just leave it like that.
Seems like there's controversy in there every season.
Oh,
for sure.
Has to be.
But yeah, Carson, you want to touch on your number 9?
Yeah, I mean Stafford. I think arm talent is way better than Goff's. He's not like super mobile, but he's like mobile enough. He's still great at throwing on the run. And I think like that's just the element that they've like really been missing because like Goff is just super slow. He's not really. They try to get him out, but is he really that great on the run? And I think this is just like a perfect fit for McVay. I'm super excited. Strong arm. And this like really like Stafford, like this could be like the return of like that Super Bowl offense because I really like do believe in Cam Akers. I think he's going to be like really solid next season. And just like that offense is just going to be crazy. I mean Woods, Cup, Akers is going to be great. I think Higbee, what Stafford was able to do with Hawkinson. I think Hawkinson's like much more talented, but still, Higbee might get a little bit of an upgrade. And I'm just excited, man, because I think, like you could tell McVay just like he knew like Goff was just limited, and I think Stafford, like more mobile, stronger arm, better in clutch situations. You don't have to force upon a play action. Stafford can just play. I mean, you don't even need to establish a play action with him. He can just throw. I mean, he's proven. He gets his not really playoffs yet. Obviously, you mentioned that, but just like stats wise, fourth quarter, he's shown that. And I was really excited because I think he kind of is like that missing piece for them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have him as my number 10, so I'm just gonna basically add on to what you said. But I feel like this guy's still in his prime. I mean, he's only 32, and he played a full season. Granted, not a great season from the Lions, but I feel like with the Rams, if they can really get Akers going early and stick with him, they can really have like that well-oiled machine of the Rams, like we've seen. We've seen.
And this is like a legacy check. Like obviously, like Stafford's like, all right, we all know he's been one of the most talented quarterbacks in the league. He puts up the numbers, but just like, oh, okay, like, oh, we can excuse the playoff absences and whatnot because he hasn't had the team around him. Now it's like, all right, we know you're great. Like now, like show us why you're the number 1 pick. Like why you can so good. Like go out there and like prove it in the playoffs. Like get like make a run and like show why everyone's been backing you for so long.
Yeah, because if he doesn't do well, I wouldn't put him in the Hall of Fame conversation.
It's gonna be bad. The legacy's gonna turn on him for sure.
Yeah, like what if they don't even make the playoffs, bro?
Yeah,
that would look bad.
That's NFC. A possibility for sure. In that tough.
Yeah, just because his division is so tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, at this point, the Niners and the Cardinals are probably the ones that are scraping at it the most. I think the Rams are pretty certified with that strong defense, and the Seahawks really came along with their defense at the end of the year. I mean, if the 49ers are able to get someone in the draft at quarterback, or they're able to get, if they throw the house at Deshaun Watson.
And I think if it's going to work, like if the Stafford Rams experiment is going to work, like you think it's going to work, like it would happen this year or not, because like, Donald, defense is only going to get older. They don't really have that much in terms of like future assets. They trade them all away for the stars they have now. Like they're in like win now mode for sure. They need to like get there this season or potentially next, but it's not like you're expecting like to have like a crazy like 4 or 5 year window. Like Stafford's like not crazy old, but he's still like on the older side compared to most of these quarterbacks. So
yeah. Because there's a lot of money allocated to their top 3 guys. I mean, if you put Stafford in there, you got Jalen Ramsey and Donald. I mean, they're both the top of the positions getting paid. So it's going to be hard to keep this team along for a while. Exactly.
Yeah.
Money.
All right. Hold on. So let me get this straight. the reason you guys didn't include Dak was because of injury concerns and O-line and coaching staff concerns. But you guys are putting coming into a second year, Joe Burrow, who has no O-line, tore his
We need a
ACL.
timeout. We need a timeout. We need a timeout.
All right.
No,
My-
I got.
Burrow and Dak were neck
I know
and
you're
neck,
sad.
but
I know you're
I
sad.
only put they were neck and neck. Like literally, if I could have put Burrow / Dak, they were both like 10A, 10B. Only reason why I put Burrow is just because that second year factor. Like it's just like the quarterbacks, they always just seem to just boom like crazy their second year. Like,
And when it comes down to it, it's fantasy too.
Yeah.
Like it's about. I mean, in fantasy, it's really about. I mean,
Stats.
well, I mean, no. I mean, I think rushing the ball, Joe Burrow might be better next year because I think Stafford. I mean, they might try to hold Prescott back. And
Man's tore his ACL, bro.
that's true.
yeah, he
but
tore his ace.
I don't know. I have a feeling about Joe Burrow this year. There's just something about me. As much as
Yeah, he's
I mean,
definitely great.
we'll get into this in a second because you guys, everyone else watching here, if you've been paying attention so far, there's one guy who I don't have on my list that I was berated for before we started this. But no, I just have a feeling. I mean, Joe Burrow does give me concerns with his arm strength, though. I was watching a video by someone. It's hard for him to fit in these windows, but I think, his weapons that he's got, Tyler Boyd's basically a huge slot guy, and T. Higgins gets his work, in the intermediate to small, like the close range. So I think it doesn't hurt him that much with his arm strength. And I think it really depends on me how Joe Mixon plays next year.
Yep.
I'm thinking Joe Mixon's going to be a flex steal next year. I think if he gets to 1,000-yard territory, it's going to open up a lot of things for Burrow because I don't know. That's just my piece there. And then I think an offensive line, they better get Penei Sewell. They got to trade up for that guy.
They have to get O-line like all out because you drafted this guy first overall and you're not gonna protect him. Like,
but
Yeah,
they
I
also
fear for his life. Like
they might also
he
go
already towards
after
his ACL. Like
Joe Thuney, the New England guard. They were slotted to go for him last offseason, but he ended up getting tagged. I mean, if they can get a star Pro Bowl guard of Thuney, and then they can get Penei Sewell, put Penei at left tackle, move Jonah Williams, the former I think 11th overall pick, the right tackle. Make things a little bit more interesting. I still do have concerns about Zach Taylor, but I think Joe Burrow can still put up numbers despite that. I think the defense will be what suffers.
100%. But yeah, I mean, I have no faith in this organization though. I mean, the Bengals. If you do not get him, a left tackle, do not throw him out there.
Exactly.
Burrow out there. Like there is no reason to just have him risking his life out there because he tore his ACL on like a routine sack that he shouldn't have been sacked on. Like, I don't know. It's just frustrating to see these young QBs like really getting, kind of thrown under the bus by their organization. But yeah, I mean, I really hope they get Penei Sewell though for sure. That would be dope to see. Love Burrow for sure though. But
well, I mean, let's get into honorable mentions.
Yeah, I was about to say, let's get into your boy Kyler. Let's see. What's
yes. Up? So my honorable mentions, I actually had 3. Dak Prescott, the injury worries, like I mentioned, I don't need to get into it. I already talked about my piece there. Kyler Murray, I have that Lamar Jackson sort of second year feel with him. I feel like he's way too dependent on Hopkins at times, and especially when he gets to go against, Jalen Ramsey 2 times a year. I mean, Christian Kirk, he's still been flaky. He's been in the league for a couple of years, and he still gives me concerns. And I don't like the coaching. I think Cliff Kingsbury's on the hot seat next year. I have my cousins. My cousins, they're really big Cardinals fans, and they watch the games a lot. And he tends to make a lot of questionable play calls. I've heard that from a lot of other people, though. So that was the reason why. I mean, it kind of was stupid. He probably should at least be like number 9 on my list. But
man, you don't have him in the top 10, bro.
I know. It's just a feeling I have. When we get towards the offseason and we begin to see what happens. That's when I'll make my
decision. They forget this man was the number 1 front runner for MVP.
he was QB1.
Like 7 weeks, 8 weeks into the season, he was our MVP front runner.
Yeah, and then what's it called? For my number 13 spot or whatever, I have Trevor Lawrence. I think he's going to have a good year out there. I think Urban Meyer's is bringing together a good staff in Jacksonville. I like Chenault. I like DJ Chark. I like James Brown.
Assuming
if they take Justin Fields or Zach Wilson, I'm
never know,
stopping
bro.
watching.
Well, he's gonna be on some team.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's gonna be in the NFL.
Yeah, no,
goes
he's
to the
gonna
Jets.
be.
I think he
Yeah,
won't
whatever
even down
team.
on the Jets.
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm the Jets, bro, I'm taking Lawrence and I'm saying fuck you to Deshaun Watson.
Oh, 100%.
If he falls to me, though. But yeah, honorable mentions. I mean, they could pull the Browns and take my boy Baker, my number one on the honorable mentions. Just a straight winner. I mean, you saw his heart in the playoffs. And the end of the season, I mean, they beat the Steelers. And just a great winner, a great player overall. Doesn't always put up the best stats, but I think he's overall pretty decently consistent. And with a healthy receiver core next year, I think, and development of guys like Peoples Jones, and the rookie Harrison Bryant this year. I think he's definitely gonna have another step up, kind of like a progression, similar to Dak, how he just kind of didn't have like a huge jump, but he just kind of got better every year. But yeah, and then after that, I got Ryan Tannehill and Derek Carr, just two solid guys, always going to be pretty reliable. But a really matchup dependent. I feel like sometimes like Tannehill against like an elite defense, I'm not starting him. Same thing with Carr, but against guys like bottom of the league, I'm starting them all day.
Carr gives me concerns. As much as I think he's a solid quarterback in the NFL, there's a lot of other guys I'd rather take over him.
Yeah, there's just guys with more upside. I feel like.
Yeah.
But he is like safe.
But no, in a deep league, he's definitely a solid QB too.
Yeah.
And for my sleepers, I just had Tua and Hurts.
It depends on what this coaching staff thinks.
Yeah. But what about your honorable mentions, Carson?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned earlier, like Dak was like my next up. He was like, I mean, technically I was gonna say sixth man like in basketball, but technically like my 11th man. Dak, Tannehill again, because like he was actually like sneakily really good this season. Safe pick. Brady as well, because I mean he's only gonna be a year older. They're still gonna, they might lose Godwin, but they're still gonna have Evans and AB and their tight end group. I had Trevor Lawrence as well as my kind of like honorable mentions. But yeah, my like big sleeper and kind of like my like Matthew Berry from ESPN has like his ride or die. Like mine would be Tua. Like if Tua, the Dolphins don't trade for Watson, they roll with Tua. He's just someone that I think won't get drafted as might not even get drafted, but I think it's someone that like going to be a second year. He just like kind of screams like that Kyler Lamar, like, second year, like just boom. I mean, like I compared their rookie year QBRs. Tua's was 50.6. Kyler, his rookie year was 57.7, and Lamar's was 42.6. I think Tua has the rushing ability, and I just believe in him. He was just like too good at Alabama. He was too great to, I think, I mean, obviously he could still just be a bust, but I think just the upside with him is just crazy. And, that team is well structured. Hopefully, they get a receiver, they get like a Devontae Smith or a Waddle or something like that. That would be incredible, especially with Tua. And that's like my pick for like this year's like Kyler Lamar. I think like he's a guy that I think, if he's like in the top 10 or top 5, I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised. Like he's like my big time sleeper.
Yeah, I could see that for sure. But let's touch on Brady real quick. I mean, what are the chances he retires though? Like win or lose? No.
I don't. I think. Well, I mean, I think we'll touch on the end of what we think our Super Bowl predictions are going to be, because I think it'll be funny for everyone watching. But I don't know. I mean, he's going to lose Godwin next year, I'd imagine, unless they franchise tag him. And if they keep Godwin, they're losing AB because they'll just run Scotty Miller. But I don't know. I mean, I think.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Scotty Miller.
Tristan Wirfs is a solid option out there. I mean, I know Gronk. I think Gronk said he will be coming back next season. They still got to trade OJ Howard. I think OJ Howard's still on contract, so they can get something for him. But it'll be an interesting situation. It's hard to bet against Brady, which is like that's why it's so like much conflict with the Super Bowl. It's hard to bet against either of those two quarterbacks. So I think the Brady definitely is going to, if he stays, don't be surprised if he finds himself on this top 10 list, because that's how he does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're gonna have to like. I think Brady's just gonna play till he literally can't. Like he literally like can't walk or throw anymore. I think if he would have like wanted to retire and go out on top like an MJ, he would have done it after that 6th Super Bowl. And I just think it's gonna take like a massive injury or something to get him off. I just think like he's just gonna keep going until he like literally physically can.
Yeah. I don't know. I've never really trusted Brady in fantasy. I feel like, obviously he has games
I mean,
where he goes off. But
he went in the last round of our draft this year. You guys remember that?
yeah, I think Chase took him.
Yes.
Yeah, and he had some really good games. Like
he finishes a top 10 QB.
I think he was 8. I think he was like 8 or something.
I wouldn't feel great having him like as the starting QB. Like but there's certain matchups where like he's just gonna eat.
Oh,
same with Rodgers.
Yeah.
I also would not trust him in the playoffs, to be honest. In the fantasy playoffs.
Yeah. End of the season. They might just gonna run the ball like they did this year.
Yeah. Unless they're like fighting for like a playoff spot or something. But
yeah. But the Saints are gonna be a mess next year, in my opinion. The
are
like
the
99
Saints,
over the cap.
Is the Saints QB gonna get drafted? I don't think so.
Wait, do you think they're on the team?
No, like whoever's starting for the Saints, like are they gonna like
Taysom Hill might bring some value if he's the starting quarterback, but I think it needs to be Winston.
I hope
Winston's a better
he's still
thrower.
listed as a tight end, though. If he's still listed as a tight end, but I don't think he will be.
No way. No.
That was so sick, though. That was so sick when he was listed as a tight end, and he was starting at QB.
If Winston was starting, I look at him as like a deep sleeper too, because like I mean he was like a stat machine in Tampa Bay, and you saw Michael Thomas, Sanders, like Kamara for him.
You get rid of
Sean Payton's.
Yeah, you cut down his picks by like half in that year. He's an
That's
elite
a big ask, bro. That's a big ask.
No, but I'm saying in that
he
year.
Got that LASIK eye surgery, bro.
Yeah,
he's ready to go.
I know, but I'm saying like let's say you look at that season where he had 5,100 yards, right, in 31 touchdowns. Let's say you cut those interceptions and turnovers half. He's an elite quarterback from that season. Like there's no doubt about it.
Yeah, but that's
15
picks you have to take away. 15.
Oh, yeah. I don't think he's going to be putting up those numbers again. I think Sean Payton's definitely going to limit him. I mean, he doesn't have the weapons. I think the weapons that he had in Tampa were probably more
How many
lethal.
points get taken off for a pick? Is it 2 or 1?
2.
Yeah, bro. If 10 picks got to take away, it's 20.
All right, well, is that our rest for our QBs, boys?
Yeah. Hey, wait, but ESPN, bro, we need a 30 for 30 on the 30-30 season. Get it in the work, bro. Get it in the work. And pay me
That's
when
That's so crazy.
All right, but that's going to do it for our quarterback rankings. We'll be back soon with the running backs. This has been Coast to Coast Podcast, and this is Jose signing out.
Peace. Oh.